Oh man, I sure do hope that there won't be another RNG heavy system that isn't explained in a video game. It's a pain in the ass to go through with no guidance whatsoever. It only gives you a few percentage more power. Oh boy, how infuriating this would be. Remember Admiram? Yeah, that was the bottom of the ocean. The absolute worst RNG slop we can get. Aren't you guys like remove darkness altogether? Marina Trench type garbage. It would be funny if they somehow managed to make an even worse system.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Right, yeah, Elsword. We're playing Elsword. You know, sometimes I tend to forget that just like my parents, KOG only cares about success and without taking emotions and feelings into accountability. Before we get into the sauce, there's something I want to get off my chest. High entropy is a mistake and I hate it with every fiber of my being. My brain is a complete mess and I am not in a correct mental state to make this correct. However, reball. This is my guide on how the artifacts of Merodale work and how you can maximize them to the best of your ability.
Here we go again.
Merodale is the new region that provides a new way to improve your performance. While yes, it will take a super long time given the amount of whopping 5 artifacts per week with random stats, it's still something, right? This video will be centered around the artifacts themselves and the effects they give. If you wish to learn more about Merodale's dungeon bosses and the mechanics, please check out Crow's Archive's videos on it. I've seen a few people basically just slap on the artifacts with no synergy effects whatsoever. I mean, I can't blame them, but they pretty much build a microwave from no door. So, where do I begin? First, let's figure out what benefit they provide over your normal artifacts. For one, they come out with what is called transmutes. Transmutation is basically a unique identification that can give you effects such as polarize and attack power. You can use the transmutation system by using your transmute stone. You can do so by talking to Vasily, clicking on the artifact equipment tab, and then effect transmute. Then, click on the artifact that you want to transmute, and there you are in the transmutation window. By using one stone, you can reroll the 3 effects and their values altogether. As per usual, the effects we are looking for are offensive ones, such as polarize, all skill damage, and attack power. The best case scenario is attack power, but because the transmute stones are very scarce and if you do not have the money to waste on this game, just stay with either of the 3. You can choose to lock a stat and reroll the rest similarly to succulling. However, a big however actually, the percentage will change even if it's locked. That is something I wish I knew sooner before rerolling some very good stats, so keep that in mind when rerolling. You need to spend 1 stone to reroll 3 stats, 2 stones to reroll 2 stats, and 3 stones to reroll 1 stat. And you need not 4, not 5, not 6, but 4 stones to reroll 0 stats and just change all of their values. For 2, you can transfer all of the stats from your previous normal artifacts to the Merodale variants. However, you can't do the same from a Merodale artifact to another, it only works with normal artifacts. Before we get to 3, I must mention that once your artifact reaches stage 5, they unlock their own skill that you can activate. This will trigger every effect your artifacts have. However, KOG decided to be generous and give you only 1 use per dungeon. Yeah, no, I'm not joking. You only get 1 use, and a maximum of 3 with your circulate effect. KOG is just too generous, man, you love to see it. For 3, the big thing about those artifacts is that they come up with their own special effect depending on the slot they take. The circlet comes with activation effects, such as activation count, resource per second, and resource upon attacking. The armor piece comes with offensive effects, such as critical damage, master skill damage, all skill damage, transcendent skill damage, hyperactive skill damage, all damage, damage dealt to boss, physical magical defense, and hyper adaptation. The necklace comes with economic effects, such as movement speed, awakening charge speed, action speed, max MP, MP per second, special resource per second, skill cooldown reset chance, MP cost, and cooldown speed. And the ring serves as an amplifier for your effects. You can increase your armor effect or necklace effect for up to 20%. The ones you're aiming for each piece is as follows. For the circlet, you look for activation count. You can get up to 2 additional counts, which is obviously very important for long dungeons such as raids, where you spend enough time to activate your artifact several times. For the armor, you're looking for hyper adaptation. Hyper adaptation is a stat that goes above your adaptation cap. Let's say I have 60% adaptation and can't go further. Hyper adapt will make it increase to 63%, which is a big damage and resistance boost. We're talking a whopping 3%. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but it is an Elsword increase to all your stats, which is quite valuable. For the necklace, it depends on what your character struggles with. If they struggle with cooldowns, get a cooldown acceleration effect. If they struggle with MP, get the MP per second effect. If they struggle with special resources, get the special resource effect. Though special resource is a little less valuable because all the supports in the game can give some to you during the dungeons.
¿Quieres?
Of course, you'd want to aim for the highest value of each effect, but with how the game economy already is, I would suggest just sticking to the effects as suggested, even if they're low values. The last improvement the artifacts has over your normal artifacts is that you can double trade a skill upon reaching stage 5. What I mean by that is that you can pick 2 traits at the same time on the skill. And I think that's it for the video. This was focused on each artifact's worth in terms of upgrade from your old artifacts and what they provide. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be catching you in the next one, hopefully sooner than almost a year. See ya!